Funny Face is a fairy tale. It is really Cinderella, isn't it? Cinderella in Paris, crossed with the Galatea Pygmalion myth. We have this Kay Thompson character, and to a certain extent the Fred Astaire character, creating Audrey Hepburn to their ideal woman.
Girls, the eyebrows up, a light powder, I want a little rouge right here. She needs a marvelous mouth. The hair, it's awful. It must come off.
And of course, she goes from a cellar in a bookstore basement in Greenwich Village to this top model in Paris. Love stories are all about being transported. You meet your soulmate and you don't feel like you're walking anymore on Earth. And of course, this feeling is exacerbated when the love story is set in Paris.
The myth of Paris of the end of the 19th century is in the vision of Stanley Donen in Funny Face.
Paris is a wonderful setting for not only Funny Face, but any kind of film. With the sights and sounds and smells and tastes of Paris, your senses come alive. You don't feel like you're in any other city. You don't feel like you're in this world because you've never seen anything quite like it before.
In the film, the monuments are key elements of the film. The character is a photographer, and he has to photograph this model, which is not a model, in key locations, which are all the time defined by a major monument. They are treated like characters. All these monuments have played in so many novels, in so many books, in so many films, that they are true characters. Notre Dame is a character in itself. The Eiffel Tower is a character of thousands of novels and thousands of films. And then when you integrate in a frame a character of this strength, you have to establish specific relationship with the wonderful character of Audrey Hepburn, which is all charm and elegance. And of course, it's a pure wonder to establish this connection between the long story of these characters, which are the monuments, and the freshness of Audrey Hepburn.
Paris is, isn't it, a character in the story. It's a catalyst. I mean, yes, he has eyes for her, the photographer for the model, and the model in turn has eyes for him when they first meet and they start working together. But Paris is the city that brings it out, the catalyst that makes it come true. How could you not drop your defenses? And it was such an innovation for a musical. This kind of genre, a genre that is given over to fantasy and irreality, to be set in a very real location. And Stanley Donen, the director of Funny Face, knew this. He's able to indulge this drive for him to situate this story in an actual location, albeit a musical. And it is miraculous. It's miraculous.
I wouldn't take you to Paris if I didn't think you'd work out.
The tradition of the fashion magazine is credible in the film because of Richard Avedon. It's very important to the film that the man who made the look of Harper's Bazaar is also making the frames of the film. He was not a simple advisor. Richard Avedon was defining some frames, and that Stanley Donen was working with these frames.
And remember Avedon, what he contributed to photography was he caught these high fashion models in movement. He froze movement. The lenses they were choosing, the whole business of freezing a frame, taking a photo, making it a negative, and then turning it into color or adding color to the whole thing. They were doing things that, with the photography and the lighting and the color, that weren't done before, that you don't want to do if you're in Paris. But they played around, even under gray skies, even drizzling, even at night.
You have a very special light, and you have this incredible blend of gray and blue. And gray and blue are giving a special atmosphere. It has been very well perceived, of course, by all the Impressionist painters. I think the light is a very important element, and also, of course, the river, because it gives to the light a certain quality, and the river is also a wonderful location when you have to establish a connection between two people. I think that it is the city of the American cinema of the 50s. What you feel is the myth of Paris treated in the 50s as it would be treated today by another director, but he would have to be as talented as Stanley Donen to be able to do that.
The architecture, the way everything is laid out around the greenery and the waterway, it looks like a set. An opera set, a movie set, a musical set. It looks like it. Any place you go in Paris, anywhere you turn in Paris, and I'm talking about the small streets in Paris, I'm talking about the alleys of Paris. It all looks like it is designed. And you know what? It was designed. You have the plane taking off in New York, a dissolve in the clouds, and then each of them, interestingly enough, they all have window seats. They're all at different windows. And their nose is stuck to that window as Paris comes into view after the aerial of Paris. And of course, the landmarks first. One sees the Eiffel Tower, one sees the Notre Dame, and one sees the Champs-Élysées, the three most iconized landmarks of Paris. And this was an advertisement for them to come to Paris. And if you couldn't, well, the next best thing is to see Funny Face. That will take you to Paris.
There is, at the end of the film, a wonderful scene which is not in Paris. And I think it's very clever from Stanley Donen to have opened his film to this other aspect of the myth of Paris, which is the countryside in itself, which is really integrated in the vision of the Impressionists especially, and of course in the vision of Stanley Donen and Richard Avedon in the film. I think the secret of Paris is to imagine that the city is a permanent show, that it has a public to satisfy, and that it has to be at the level of its reputation.
Paris is indelible for people that go to Paris. And people that go to Paris for the first time, they inevitably go back to Paris again and again and again. It grabs you and it says to you, if you come and you see me, and you hear me, and you smell me, and you taste me, you will never forget it.